Welcome everybody to Unconventional Creatives Episode 3. We are here with Nana, who is the CEO and founder of Boateng Eyewear. They're a luxury, sustainable eyewear company, and they source all of their materials like reclaimed wood from West Africa. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be part of this.
Yeah, as you can tell, we're just starting here, but Nana is one of our amazing clients, and we thought he'd be the perfect fit for the Unconventional Creatives.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just dive right in. I did my research before this interview, listened to a lot of other interviews that you have done on other shows. So I learned that you have a background in environmental science. So I wanted to kind of hear more about your educational background, but also kind of your personal background and how you decided to just start a business yourself.
Yes, sure. So I started actually as an environmental science major in my first year of university, and it was a new realm for me because I didn't know what to expect, but over time, after doing research on not just like the scientific analytical impact of the environment, but also how do we consume consumable products and how it affects the environment, I kind of took a deeper dive and I switched my major from environmental science to environmental studies.
What's the difference between those?
So environmental science deals more with the science behind how we impact the environment, like the greenhouse gases and ozone layers being depleted. Environmental studies deals a lot more with the socio-economic impact of every decision that we make that impacts the community as a whole.
Right. Okay.
And so I really enjoyed it because it made me realize how close we are to nature and how every decision that we make either hurts or helps the environment. And that's really when I try to find ways to incorporate lifestyle products with consumer goods. And there are actually a lot of, this was back in 2010.
Okay.
2009.
10 years ago.
Yeah, it was wow, time flies. But it was really good because I got to find that there are people within that industry, whether it's fashion or beverage, that were trying to find ways to incorporate sustainability into the products, like organic wine, organic vodka, organic cotton or bamboo used for clothes, eco-friendly skincare that use natural ingredients, and so on and so forth. So a lot of stuff that I did with Boateng kind of came from that era, which was really a big inspiration for me in terms of how do you incorporate it into your everyday lifestyle and make it seamless.
And why eyewear?
So eyewear for us was really a metaphor for number one, our love for fashion and nature, but number two, I think eyewear really talks about the character of the person, because you can tell a lot about a person by the type of frames that they wear. So for us, it was really about vision, the overall vision of how we wanted to build sustainable supply chains in Ghana, but also about what a new narrative of paying it forward to a place like Ghana would look like. And the way we're tackling that was through being able to invest in manufacturing and also overall innovation, and also investing in like the talent within local communities in Ghana. So eyewear is really a vehicle for change for us.
Amazing. I'll talk about the eyewear first, and I'll get back to the manufacturing too. So I love how you had spoken about, obviously glasses are a practical thing. Prescription eyewear are like a practical thing that a lot of us need. I'm wearing contact lenses right now, but I need them to see, otherwise I couldn't function, right? But I love how you talk about the style of it as well, because you can just give people a pair of glasses, but if they don't feel confident and they don't feel like they look good in them, they just might not wear the glasses at all.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. If you look at the model that a lot of charities, eye care charities take, which is like really get donations from different organizations and donate it to people in underprivileged areas. A lot of times they'll donate the glasses, but the kids won't wear them if they don't feel like they're cool. And I mean, when I was growing up, it wasn't cool to wear glasses because a lot of times they weren't fashionable or stylish, right? So I mean, that whole culture comes from back in the day, that's why it's important to have something that's not just sustainable but also stylish, because that way you can make sure that it's a statement piece, but it's also a need, right? And overall in the eye care industry in Africa, I think a lot of communities are lacking access to like eye exams and just quality eye care, because it really caters, most of optical stores cater to really the 1% of people who can afford it and not the 99% that can.
Right. Yeah, and access to eyewear is really important because it changes someone's life. When they have their vision back, they can do more, they can work, they can go to school.
Yeah.
So the lack of that is just...
Yeah, it definitely affects kids in the classroom not being able to see the board when they're writing or whatever. And there's actually a clear correlation between bad eyesight and poverty.
Oh yes, for sure.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense
right.
when you see it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know you had started your manufacturing in Toronto, and then you were able to fully move it to Ghana. I don't know if that was like a transitional process or what made the final decision for you to move that over.
It was always our plan to be able to move our supply chains to Ghana. We haven't moved 100% at this point. We're still working with other manufacturers, but I mean we've taken the first few steps, which is important in terms of we're launching this new internship program where we let students in Accra come to a facility and prototype a lot of the things that we're trying to produce. We also hired a few industrial designers on the ground. But I think it's important because we understand that a lot of people in Ghana or in other places like Ghana that have a lot of great ideas. It's just really having the tools and expertise to implement it, So having a 3D printer where like local students who are really bright can use means that they have the tools to really innovate and push the boundaries for the ideas. I mean, manufacturing is a big part of export, import in any country. So that's why we're really big on investing in that. And Toronto obviously has a history too of it being like one of the big it used to be one of the biggest industrial hubs in the world. So it was just nice to be able to start here where, I connected with a lot of the maker community, and also was able to build our own blueprint for how we make eyewear.
What inspires us the most about your brand is that you engage Ghana in everything you do. So not only is the brand inspired by the landscapes of Ghana, but you're with the vision of change, you're providing people with eyewear and eye exams, which they don't have access to without your help. So that is very big. So also with the fact that you hire people to do your brand identity from Ghana, so everything ties into reflecting the African culture and the land, your creative direction with the lifestyle photography that you do, which is very beautiful.
Right.
So beautiful.
Yes.
We're literally like, I want to blow some of these up and put them on my wall.
Yes. Every time we go through all your photographs, we're just so amazed by the creativity behind them and just you can see so much authenticity in what you represent. So great work on that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, African creatives have a lot of talent, a lot of potential. It's just really having that opportunity, So I mean, we have done a lot of work with people within the Ghanaian or African sphere, but I mean, we're definitely going to be doing a lot more, especially in the next couple of years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I know you and your brother kind of grew up all over the place, and you had like lived in like Europe and New York I think it was New York for a little bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have an interesting story. Obviously Ghanaian by roots, but I wasn't born in Ghana. So we actually I was born in the UK, London, lived there for the first 5 years of my life. Then moved to Ghana for about 4 years, and then moved to South Africa for like a year, and then when I was like 8, 9, or 10, moved to New York. So like my family was always moving around, so I feel like we took a little bit of every place we went, in terms of the culture. So we look at ourselves as third culture kids, where like even though we're Ghanaian, inherently we're really global citizens.
And how do you feel that has shaped who you are and has impacted the Boateng brand to have so many cultures be a part of?
I think we just try and be really inclusive overall from a cultural standpoint, and also just having diversity and thinking about different skin colors when we design glasses. I think that's been really important, and also understanding that whether it's European culture, North American, or African culture, they all kind of come hand in hand, because once upon a time we all kind of came from the same place, right? So it's been really important to really just have that multicultural feel to, not our visuals, our frames, and that's why like we try and make all our frames and our designs timeless.
Have all your frames, has Boateng frames, have they always been made out of wood, or has that adapted to?
Yeah, it's always been. When we first started, I mean, like I think you saw the frame, the Barclay Demuth, the light colored frame.
Yes.
Yeah, so when we first started, all our frames were like that.
Okay.
In terms of 100% wood, but dealing with like the optical industry, you kind of have to make adjustments for fit for different people. So we introduced acetate, like plant-based acetate, and also metal in certain aspects. But the wood is really important because like when it comes to people being able to have really comfortable frames on the face, and also if you wear glasses like 8 to 10 hours a day, you have to deal with, you probably sweat, and a lot of times when you have plastic frames, the sweat causes discoloring on the sides. So with wood, you don't have to deal with that because it absorbs it and maintains its structure. So that it's not just a trendy thing for us. It's actually there's actually some benefits for us using wood frames and our customers too.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm interested to learn more about the plant-based acetate.
Yeah, so basically acetate is a really malleable material that's made from molds, and a lot of times it comes from wood pulp. So basically when the wood pulp is melted down, it's made into a mold, and you can use a mold to essentially create whatever you want. So it's a great material for eyewear because it's lightweight, it's comfortable, and it doesn't discolor easily.
And you can do a range of different colors too, right?
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. You can really switch it up while still maintaining the wood. Because I mean, with wood, there's only so many colors you can really. I mean, so many materials or colors you can really do with it. But with acetate, it gives that fun element to it, but also keeping it sleek and smart.
I want to transition from talking about the products and that process to just being an entrepreneur and kind of starting your own business.
Right.
So when Sandra and I started Tableau Creative, it was just the two of us, and we were doing everything ourselves: the accounting, the marketing, finding new clients, keeping our existing clients happy, doing all the day-to-day tasks that were involved. And we had to start deciding what things that we wanted to continue to do ourselves, what things do we want to learn, and what things do we want to outsource to experts who can do it better than we can, and start finding contractors who align with our values and that can kind of work well together. So I'm sure you've experienced the same thing with your business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I first started out, between me and my brother, We were doing everything from the accounting, the marketing, product development, the distribution, the list goes on and on. And I think finding the right people, the right team, like you can have, obviously you have your foundation, you and Sandra, but find the right people is the most important part, but it's also the most challenging part when you're growing your business, because if you're not working with someone who has a aligned vision as you do, there can be a lot of ups and downs, and it comes down to trust, because you're a team, so you want to make sure that whoever you put in charge of your accounting or your whatever it is, that you can trust them and leave them to get the job done, and you don't have to micromanage them. So that was a big challenge for us for a long time, just because I think everyone comes from a different place, and everybody has different motives or what they're looking for when they come into, especially when you're in startup mode. It's really hustle mode, right? And sometimes people might not understand what it really takes to get to the next level, right? But once you find that team of people who you can rely on, so you can focus on what you do best, I think things really open up, and you can just focus on what you thrive at doing, and not try and do every single thing. So finding the right team is probably the most important thing outside of anything when you're starting your own business.
For sure. One thing we're always so impressed by is your ability to adapt to certain situations. I know we survived COVID together, so that was a moment where we just had to toss out our old plans and just adapt to a new way of doing business.
Right.
And also when it comes down to trying new things, different platforms that we can use for certain things that we're doing for social media or anything like that, you're always willing to try new things and experiment. And I think you said in one of your interviews that success is not a good teacher. What was the example?
Success is the worst teacher.
The worst teacher.
Yeah.
Which is true, but if you can speak more about that way of approaching situations.
Or like getting over that fear of failure.
Yeah.
Because sometimes failure can cost some money, or it can cost some time, which is also your money. But sometimes not making those mistakes can be even more costly in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times what holds people back from doing what they want to do is the fear of failing. And the only way to get over the fear of failing is to fail quickly. Something I truly believe in. Most of the times people want to cover their failures or cover, it's like the whole concept of overnight success, where like, you hear of businesses that like in like a year, they created overnight success. It's kind of the cliche.
I heard someone say like it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. So you don't know what happened in the before the success finally came about.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just embracing failure earlier on, whatever that means to you. For me, Boateng wasn't my first business. I had other businesses before, and each business taught me something I needed to know, whether it's about my own character or whether about other people's character, or about just overall like how to approach things, and it really prepares you for the next obstacle that you're going to face. So when I say success is a terrible teacher, I just mean that when things are really good, you kind of let your guard down and you don't think about the things that might happen if things are not as good. Not to say you want things to be bad, but like being able to deal with the ups and downs, never being too high, never being too low, is a really important mentality, especially when it comes to business, because then nothing surprises you, right? Because I'm personally a little bit. Because of the fact that I've gone through so many things and I've dealt with the failures and the successes, I'm always a little bit skeptical when I'm doing something new in terms of I know in the back of my mind that, hey, I'm trying this out, but it might not go the way I want it to go. But I still do it because I know that, okay, even if it doesn't go the way I want it to go, there's always going to be a silver line. There's a lesson over here, and that's really been my experience. Try something and figure it out as you do it, instead of having a 5-year plan and finding it hard to execute. Yesterday, this one girl was talking about how some people take 5 years to do research before they launch a business, in terms of whatever product they want to launch, right? And that's a long time. But part of that is the fear of, I don't want to take that leap, because if you take that leap and it doesn't go as well, then what happens after that? You have to be able to deal with those situations to really get past them.
Yeah, that reminds me, the last interview we did with Hugh, he mentioned, you can crop this part out, I'm trying to remember.
Hugh is a
plans
poet.
are provisionary at best and always subject to review. And if the pandemic hasn't taught us that, I don't know what will.
I mean, that's a great example. Actually, COVID has taught everyone that your plans don't really mean much, right? Like,
Change over time.
It's really about how do you adapt as things change, right? Because people are not the best at predicting what's going to happen in the future. So if you can't predict the future, you have to be prepared for whatever it throws at you, and be okay with it, knowing that I'm going to adapt and I'm going to grow from this.
Right. Just kind of keeping into perspective like your end goal and like what your objective is, like the bigger picture.
Right.
And then if things don't really fall into place along the way, then that's it is what it is, and you just have to find a way.
Yeah, you take a detour. I took a lot of detours in my life, I'm not gonna lie. In terms of, I had a plan of how I thought everything should go, and this went off the rails, right? And it takes you a bit longer to get to where you need to be, but once you're there, nothing can take you off your path.
So what do you envision to be like the next thing for Boateng in the next 5 years, 10 years? What can we expect from the future of Boateng Eyewear?
I think you can definitely expect a lot more innovation and creativity, and a lot more collaboration with designers and creatives, not just in Ghana but all over. I think we really want to be a platform where other people can collaborate and innovate, as well as build those supply chains all in one place. So for us, that would be having a full-fledged manufacturing facility where we produce the lenses, the frames, but we also have the expertise that helps us. It's kind of like if you look at how Apple produces stuff, they always have an R&D lab where they're always cooking up something new for the iPhone 11. It's going to kind of be like that, where we work with local creators to really push the boundary on how to get more accessible eye care, on how to create impact locally, but also how to serve the global market.
Oh.
Yeah.
So one last question. So with our unconventional creatives community, what we're trying to do with interviews is inspire people to pave their own path and follow their passions and just believe in themselves. So if you were to give someone advice who is curious and interested in pursuing their dream, but they're just either doubting themselves, or what would have been something you would have appreciated hearing in the beginning of your journey that you can share with others?
That's a good question. I would appreciate hearing that it's really okay to not know where your path is going to take. It's really okay to not have all the answers, as long as you go, you put the pieces to the puzzle together, so to speak. Because I feel like there's always so much pressure to want to know, the full picture of what you're doing, where you're going, what your end goal is, and sometimes that's pretty stressful. Sometimes you just need to go with the flow and figure things out as you go. And you never know what you stumble upon. So that's I think that's the key.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think a lot of people do stress over that, especially early on in life when you're in school and you are asked to choose what path to take when it comes down to choosing your university or college.
That's classic.
It's such a young age to try to figure that out.
Right.
I heard someone say one time that there's no timeline to anything and everyone has their own journey. So what may take someone 10 years to get to, someone else can get to in a year. So like some people hit being a millionaire at like 20, and then some people it takes them till they get to 60. So everyone has their own journey and they should embrace it and trust in
for
yourself.
sure. And I mean, being a millionaire doesn't end the journey, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. There's always
you still have
something
other things that you have to deal with. You still have to still grow.
Exactly.
No matter what.
That is a good one. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please follow Boateng on Instagram. We'll put the handle somewhere on the screen where you can see it. Thank you, Osei Alexander, for helping us produce this video. We'll put his handle on the screen there too. Don't forget to join our community, our little Facebook group. You will find a link in the description down below for that. Thank you so much again, Nana.
Thank you for having
me. And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Great. See you.
See you.